Alrighty, these are top 5 knots you need to know if you're a first-time boat owner. That's coming from Dad and I, 2 people who are first-time boat owners, and we wish we knew them so much sooner.
All you're doing is bitching about the bloody caps.
Oh, what? Alrighty, so the first knot we're going to be teaching you is how to attach a fender to your boat. It's used for any time you're like parking or you're filling up fuel. It's just to protect the side of your boat so you don't hit anything. So the first thing you're going to do is grab your fender. You're literally just going to make a little ring. Little donut on the top, that when you come down to your actual cleat, you just literally pass it through a little hole in the center, so the circle comes out at the top, and you hook it over both sides. So it's pretty much just hugging the top of it. Best part about this is as soon as you've got it like this, if you want to loosen it, you just give some slack and it'll go down. And the upside is if you need to raise it up, all you got to do is take that slack and literally just tighten it up to whatever height you want. From there, you're just going to do a classic figure of 8 knot over the top, around the edge. And as soon as you're done, pull tight like that. You're going to do the half hitch, which you just put it over like a circle, turn it, and let it lock on over itself. And that thing's not going anywhere. Alrighty, so the second knot I'm going to be teaching you is one that's really simple and literally my favorite for the reason of I found it scrolling through TikTok at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's literally made for if you don't have a cleat. So if you don't have a cleat, you need to tie off to a piece of steel, or you need to tie off to a pole, or if you need to tie yourself to an actual another rope. So it's as simple as called the constrictor knot. It's called the constrictor knot for the reason of as soon as you've pulled on it, it has 2 ropes next to it, so it literally gets tighter. So the more strain you put on it, the tighter it gets. But surprisingly, it's not hard to get off. So all you got to do, throw the rope over itself. The first time, as soon as it's over, give yourself just a little bit enough rope to work with and put it over itself again. As soon as you put it over itself and you can see you've given yourself some sort of X, the best part is all you got to do is grab that little piece of rope and put it through your first loop. As soon as it's through your first loop, simple as from here, pull. But this rope is wet, so it might not hold me for the slippery part, will not come undone. I can hold myself like this all day. But the best part about it, it's coming off isn't the hard part. It's as simple as loosen, pull.
So the third knot we're going to show you obviously has got to do with docking again, and it's got to do with the docking rope. As you know, most docking ropes have a loop already actually embedded in them. But let's assume you don't have a loop and you only have an end of a rope. You need to make a loop that you can trust. It's pretty easy to do. All you do is grab the rope and make it into a U shape. What you then do is you make a small letter P at the side of the rope, which is the main end, away from the end of the rope. Then, as the saying goes, the rabbit comes out of its hole, goes around the tree and back into its hole. Once you've then attached that rope, you can then tighten the main end of the rope and you have then made your loop that will not come undone. Just like Caleb's constrictor rope, the more you pull, the tighter it gets. And the best thing about it though is when you're finished with it, it's very easy for you to get it undone.
Okay, the fourth knot we're going to be teaching you is this simple one. It is called the half hitch. It's made for locking things off quite simply. Because the last thing I want to see is I'll be seeing you at a pier and I'll look over the left and I'll see little Larry putting his rope through and going, you know what you have to do? If you don't know how to tie a knot, you tie a lot. So the kid starts doing circles. The last thing I want to see is somebody tying their boat to a cleat with 30,000 circles. It is not safe. So what you're going to be doing is as soon as you pull up, you'll be doing a couple of figure of 8s just to hold yourself steady. But as soon as you've done your figure of 8, you're doing the half hitch. Got the long piece of rope here. You're literally just going to be turning it. So you've made a circle and the back of the rope crosses over itself. So as soon as I pull, it hooks on itself. And to be extra safe, as soon as we get there, I'd also like to do it the exact same way I did it then on the other side as well. Because I can promise you, unlike your circles, that's going nowhere.
And the final knot we're going to show you is actually not a knot. It's the way we actually coil our ropes on the boat to try and keep them nice and neat, as well as of course also make sure they don't get knotted when we want to use them. The easiest way to do it we've found is we hold the end of the rope in your left hand, use your right hand to measure the lengths of the loops. The thing is though, is if you start looping the actual rope and you find it twisting on itself, make sure you perhaps start at the other end of the rope, because these 3 strands are actually designed to be looped in a certain way, anti-clockwise, and it depends which end you start at. So very simple, all I do, start with the end of the rope in my left hand and start the loop. And once again, I try and keep the loops the same distance, and I just use my shoulders to measure those, nice and simple. And once I get to the end, and there's a little bit of room left, which is on this one, what I then do is I use that rope to actually tie around the back of the rope twice. I can then feed it through itself, like so. So the rope is then can be stored underneath and it won't actually tie up with the rest, and it's very easy to get off. This is the best way I've found to keep your ropes nice and neat.
Oh,
My God, it's
fantastic.
raining. Quick, we're going to pack up.
Yeah, no, let's get the actual, it's downstairs.
get everything
I don't want to knock your camera down. I need to get the cards. We're missing half our hooks.
Get that. Oh my God, it's rain. Why am I in the rain?
I'm strengthening your old man immune system.
Oh my God. All you're doing is bitching about the bloody caps.
Oh, wah.
As the storm rolls in, I'm so glad our ropes and our knots are really good. You can tell that we have to replace everything in the back because we've got a gaping hole in the corner. So hopefully, stay safe. We're going to try and get off this boat before we get wet, and I hope you learn something from our knots.
You know what I'm looking forward to?
What's that?
I'm sorry, I'm looking forward to trying my new toy.
What toy's that? What toy you bought now?
You'll find out soon.
I love toys for the boat.